This is CityCast Pittsburgh. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. Virginia, Jeremy, last time we talked about villains on here, I asked you to define villainy. So this time I'm going to go the reverse. What does virtue mean as it relates to like our municipal characters?
I'm going to go with accountability, following through and doing what you're saying you're going to do. That's something that as a journalist was like the number one thing I always look for is like, are you following your own rules? At least the minimal level of accountability. And if you are, great. And if you're not, then there's probably going to be a story about it.
Yeah, you could tell Jeremy used to be a City Hall reporter there. Virginia, what about you? What does virtue mean as it relates to not making us mad?
So I think this piggybacks on what Jeremy just said. For me, it's, are you in public the same person that you are in private? Are you true to yourself?
Authenticity? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think someone asked me recently, describe Pittsburgh in one word. And my response after about a 10-second thought was authenticity. Right? Like that's what we say we are. And so I think when people are not that and they kind of show that true, that's not virtuous. I think that kind of is when we start to get into the villainy. So I think that's basically what Jeremy just said.
Yeah.
Well, I am with writer and author Virginia Montanez and also my husband, Jeremy Boren, who has had a long and storied career as a reporter here in Pittsburgh. You have chased all kinds of villains all over the city over your career. And that's why we wanted to talk to both of y'all today. In case you missed it, this is part of a series now about Pittsburgh's biggest villains. The parameters are pretty loose. It's anyone, any person, group of people, entity, corporation that we think has displayed villainy over the last 25 years. So roughly since the new millennium. And it can also be someone that we hate and why. Someone that we hate, but maybe we shouldn't. Maybe there is a defense for this person. It could also be someone that we should hate, but somehow we don't. Somehow they squeak through. So last time we covered some politicians, some institutions. UPMC may or may not have gotten a mention in that past episode, although it wasn't as straightforward as you might have thought it would be. But today we're going to talk about sports. So Virginia, who is a villain? Who is one of our most villainous people or groups in the last 25 years?
All right. I'm going to say every owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates for the last forever. I mean, as long as in the last 25 years. But I do think I hate to say this, I think Bob Nutting is a villain.
What do you mean you hate to say this? You literally have devoted multiple issues of your Substack to this.
I always have this fear in the back of my head that when I criticize powerful people, it always gets to them. It always somehow gets back to them.
Isn't that the point?
And they're like, well, I heard what you said. But I refuse to look. I just talked about authenticity, so I can't not say it. I have to say it is the truth. I do think that it is more about generating his wealth than preserving a legacy. And I don't think it's wrong for him to generate wealth from the team, but I do think that you can get rich from baseball and preserve a rich legacy at the same time. I don't think it has to be either or, and he has just chosen one and seems to have gone with that. And that's why we're stuck in this losing attitude that we can't get out of.
Virginia, you're not alone. By far, the number one biggest villain that we got when we put this out on social in our newsletter was Bob Nutting. Like, everyone is mad at Bob Nutting. Jeremy, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I have to go with Bob Nutting, too, just because, we are constantly hearing from the Pirates and ownership about investment in, bringing up new players, investing in people that are supposed to become big talents. But even when that does happen, they don't stick around. There's obvious reasons for that. Anybody can do their own research and, find the numbers for it that we're perennially at the bottom in terms of spending. And, the results speak for themselves. I've been a baseball fan, I won't say my entire life, but I was a fan of the Pirates and watched them in the early 90s when they were competitors.
You grew up here.
I remember the 3Bs. I know all those players. I was the 12-year-old kid filling out the box score at Three Rivers Stadium, going to games with my dad, some of my best memories. So I like still hold on to that. And as somebody who like has sort of lived through all of that, and I'm not anywhere close old enough to remember the World Series days. So I'm just talking about like competitive playoff days. It definitely bothers me. I think we should be more competitive. Not all of that is Bob nutting, as Virginia rightly points out, but there's just, a legacy, an unfortunate one that I'd love to see change.
And I feel like there's a lot of animosity for the ownership of our three major men's franchises. So that's the Buccos, at least as they currently stand. But there's also the Steelers and the Penguins. We'll get to them in a second. I'm curious how y'all are feeling about past Pens players. There's one in particular, Virginia, because I've heard you talk about him before, the maybe villain arc of Jaromir Jagr.
Yes. Villain era is what he had. He was beloved, and then he was dying alive, quote unquote, dying alive here in the city. And we don't take well to that. And it was when he left, I think broken hearts on both sides. I think deep down that's not how he wanted to go. But he somehow managed to completely redeem himself in the last few years. He literally came home to his old house that still had all of his like early, what years would that have been? Like early 90s technology, like a phone. Yeah. It looked like a time machine, like some movie studio could buy it from him immediately and film a movie in it because you wouldn't have to change a thing. So he literally came home, embraced the city, and you could just tell as he's aged, he's matured. I think we talked about this before. Not everyone is just all villain. He just had a little villain era, but I loved him. I've always loved him. I never didn't love him. I always adored him. So I don't think he's a villain.
That takes effort, Virginia, because I mean, if you're new here, you're not aware, like he was one of the most prominent Pittsburgh players of an era. Like I think he played from 1990 to 2001. And then he played for like a variety of the greatest hits of our biggest rivals. He had this flowing mullet for a while that made him very identifiable. But then he comes home and he has this whole other arc.
He is a time traveler, and I mean, he's just like this new breed of athlete that we see from time to time ending up in Pittsburgh that, somehow has made an extremely long career in a pretty rough sport. And I think they even did like a one-day contract signing so he could technically retire as a Penguin. Was that his kind of like the final capper before?
Kind of a practice contract so that he could practice with that when they raised his banner, retired his number, and he practiced with the team, which I was there for that. And it was just magical. I was 16 when I was obsessed with him, and to see him come back and skate and to still have it. I didn't realize how close he and I were in age. To me, he just seemed like this mythical figure. And it's wild that he played right into his 50s. Like the human body is not meant to do that. I love him. I don't know. Not a villain. Not a villain.
CityCast Pittsburgh is sponsored by the Frick Pittsburgh Museums and Gardens. If you want a taste of Paris right here in Pittsburgh, their current exhibition is perfect for you. It's called French Moderns, Matisse, Renoir, Degas. We've got in masterworks from all these very famous French artists and more like Cézanne and Rodin. You don't need to be a dedicated student of art history to appreciate all these works. Yes, they are legends now, but back in their day, these artists were radicals, and some really put a foundational mark on movements that we still celebrate today. I'm talking about realism, impressionism, cubism, surrealism, so much more. It's easy to forget now, but a lot of the reasons we even know about this stuff and we think about Paris and Parisian culture the way we do is because of these artists and what they created back in their time. I personally am really excited to see this exhibition. Maybe chase it with a stop by their little cafe, a stroll through the gardens. You got to take in this Pittsburgh weather while you can. It's going to be great. French Moderns, Matisse, Renoir, Degas at the Frick is open now. Get your tickets at thefrickpittsburgh.org. Okay, what about like ownership? Because I feel like that is often the thing that people complain about. We did get a couple of votes for Ron Hextall and Brian Burke.
So you're talking about the Fenway Group. I mean, they were such a brief ownership. I think that's where they're getting most of the negative feedback, is that they didn't hang around, very long. Ultimately, they made a huge profit on what just appears like an investment. They treated it like an investment opportunity rather than like going all in on the Penguins and like, being here for years and years and really developing not only the team, but like the land around the, PPG Paints Arena, which was part of the charge of owning them. And now, they did some of that, but very little, I think, compared to what the expectations were. And now they're passing it on, to this new, Hoffman ownership group, which, hopefully they're going to own it for more than 4 or 5 years.
And hopefully to do more than just turn a profit. Like, it's fine if you want to make a buck off of us. I don't have any qualms with that, but like at least try to win while you're doing it.
I agree on that. But I agree also they weren't here long enough. And I also don't think that they did any real damage to like the team as a whole, the legacy of it. They didn't taint the team dramatically in any way. But I think the reason people are suggesting that is just we want to win. And if we don't win, everyone is the villain. I really think that's how it is. So I don't know that people are really thinking about it rationally as much as they are just like, we didn't win.
Well, using that metric, then, I'm curious how you think about these next 3 submissions, because they are all unequivocally winners. But I feel like some people might think that they are also perhaps villains. So I want your take. So these are all Steelers. Quarterback Terry Bradshaw played in the 70s, but has been in football throughout his career, including now. Quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, who played in the 2000s, and wide receiver Antonio Brown, who played with him. So one a little further back, but always in the ether here. And then 2 more recent. What do you think?
I think Terry Bradshaw felt mistreated by Pittsburgh. This is before my time, but I mean, he's without argument the greatest, Steelers quarterback of all time, winning 4 Super Bowls. I mean, you just cannot stand up to that. An incredible talent, and one of the most unique celebrities, I think, still going out there, today that has any connection to Pittsburgh. And, since then he's come back, he's doing things here,
he is
better
now.
terms. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I would argue perhaps villain era is the term for this. I'll borrow your term, Virginia, because I think Bradshaw arguably was a villain for a time, because even though I didn't grow up in Pittsburgh, I grew up a Steelers fan from somebody who was a Steelers fan in the 70s. And I remember the lore, at least. Maybe this is complete bunk. Was that he had it in his broadcast contracts that he never had to officiate or appear at a game in Pittsburgh for like well over a decade after he stopped being the quarterback here, because he was so mad about his treatment, I'm using air quotes, while he was quarterback and how the city treated him, that he just didn't even want to set foot in the city. He would do things from other places, but he didn't want to have anything to do with us. I don't think that makes you not a villain.
I can't believe I'm going to defend him. Okay.
Okay, bring it. I will also point out the NFL draft. He was here. He refused to sign anything. Like, came, but would not do a single fan experience.
But I think that's probably because that's his like MO on fan experiences. Like, I think if he was in Nashville, it would be the same deal. I don't think it's a Pittsburgh
but he wasn't
thing,
the franchise quarterback in Nashville for a decade, winning multiple Super Bowls. It's different here.
Right. I think that the public feels always that they are owed access to humans that are famous. And I don't know that should be. Look, if he shows up at an event that is an autograph signing and he has an attitude and doesn't want to sign this stuff, that's an issue. But if he just says, I don't want to do these things, I'm not comfortable with it, I'm okay with that. Why I defend him is he's defended Pittsburgh in the past. In the 70s, I mentioned it in a column recently. I can't remember where, but he did a Playboy interview. I believe it was. I know.
I can't wait.
This is in 1980. He did a Playboy interview, and the interviewer was like, why do you like it here? And they're sitting in Pittsburgh looking out over the rivers. Now think about what Pittsburgh looks like in 1980. Or this may have been 79 at this point when he's doing the interview. And the interviewer is basically like, it's dirty, it's ugly, look at the river, everything's brown, why do you like it here? And Terry basically was like, okay, no, I don't see that. And he defended the city and said, I see beauty. I see look at this. And he came to the city's defense. So that's one thing, even in 1980. But I think he left with bad blood because the city cheered him when he got injured one time and they booed him. Cheering for an injury, I think, is a deeply hurtful thing for a home team to do to their own quarterback. That is the height of an insult. Like, I'm glad you're in pain. I'm glad you might be hurt. I'm glad your career might be over. They cheered that. So to me, that, even though, yes, he was booed as well, cheering an injury is a particularly brutal fan experience. So I do defend him for leaving in a way that said, I'm closing the door on that city, because how can you do that to me after I've given you the best all of these years and all of this? I mean, the Steelers kind of saved Pittsburgh during the steel collapse. That was our new identity. So Terry gets a little bit of credit for that. And then we're going to be like, haha, you got hurt. So yeah, I'm going to, 1, defend Terry Bradshaw. 2, say he's not a villain. And 3, say, you know what, if he doesn't want to sign autographs, fine. Like, a lot of people don't like to do it. And if that's his truth, authenticity.
Yeah. I think if you say it in advance, then that's fine. I think, where you get into trouble is where people have a different expectation, and then it's not met. But if you're saying that up front, that's fine.
I had a different expectation. See, this is why you can't argue with a historian about whether you can be mad at somebody. You're going to ruin it for me every time with context.
It's true.
Okay, what about the other two? Roethlisberger and AB. Are they villains?
And so, yeah, I mean, AB, I just feel like he left on such bad terms that it was such a disaster, with the way his professional career was going, that, I mean, I think he's still kind of held up as sort of like the player that you do not want incoming Steelers players, to emulate, just with the on-field and off-field stuff that just got completely out of hand. And then, he hasn't been playing in years at this point. So, yeah, lots of villainous behavior there for sure on AB.
He's been out of the game, I believe, since 2021, at least in the NFL. Played with the Steelers from 2010 to 2018. Known for his colorful personality. We'll put it that way.
You don't quit on your own team during a game. I mean, this is like the rule, like the first rule of like playing any team sport that you learn like in, Pee Wee. It just doesn't, it's not something you do.
Okay, I'm hearing villain.
I would agree. I think people nowadays tend to excuse a lot of his behavior, and some of it's downright criminal, but they want to chalk it up to saying he's probably suffering from his brain injuries. And he's not being a good person, is all we can say. And I don't think he's a good representative of the city at all.
What about Ben?
Ben was a villain. He absolutely was. From what he was accused of multiple times, the Steelers in their own investigation clearly found it possible enough, I don't know what evidence they were looking at, but to suspend him, or the NFL did. The NFL suspended him for some of his behavior.
Which included allegations of sexual harassment and assault.
Yes, and I always came out against it. I was scathing in my, I got a lot of people angry with me for not defending him in any way, shape, or form, and saying the only reason you are not angry is because he can throw a football. And that is the truth. And he was just a guy on the street, some accountant or some, mechanic or whatever. People wouldn't be like, oh, let's give him another chance. Maybe it's, you would be angry, but he throws a football pretty well. So we're going to give him as much grace as we possibly can and not bother me. So a lot of the reason I kind of stopped being a Steelers fan had to do with the way that all of that was handled. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. From what everyone tells me today, he is a reformed individual. I don't know. But he definitely had a villain era, and I never was okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all tracks. I mean, he's doing a podcast these days? And
that's the only thing I see from him anymore is like when there's a clip of Ben's podcast that someone wants to cite because he has like insights about like whether the bathrooms are in fact terrible at Acrisure Stadium,
Yeah.
Cutting edge news.
They do need to make some upgrades, but yes. Yeah.
They're working on it. Thanks to that players.
And I believe they are. So
thanks to that players report card,
Yes,
they have been properly shamed.
I mean, even the fan restroom facilities as well. So
yeah. But actually, that leads me to my next one. I got 0 submissions for it, but I still think it's worthy of a question. Is the current Rooney ownership, are they villains now? Are they trying hard enough? Do they qualify? Because the player report card, the players don't seem to care for this man at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's weird because
heavy sighs from both of you. Okay.
It's like, I mean, as I understand the report card, and I have not done, any reporting, but just some reading, that most people could do, is that it's like this anonymous survey, right? Where players can basically
sort of. It's like the player
on,
report card, if you're not familiar, the players union that everyone who plays in the NFL has access to. Like they can be a part of this. They can submit the report card. They can grade ownership, the facilities, treatment of families. Like it's a very lengthy thing, and you give an A through an F, and then the union compiles it all and submits it once a year. Although the NFL got involved last year and they never actually publicly submitted it. Snaps to the Athletic for leaking portions of it anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, the Rooneys are the closest you get to a dynasty in Pittsburgh, right? I mean, it's just hard to, really get through that kind of legacy of the team and its origins.
But is Art Rooney II a villain?
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't seem to be running the team as well as his dad was. I'll say that. That's
he seems like less of a shark at minimum, and the players don't seem to like him.
Yeah, I mean things simply have not been going as well as they were when his dad was running the team, and it'd be hard to argue at that point. And I mean, just in terms of wins, and that's where I'm at with it.
I think they have maybe the criticism we can give them, honestly, in the current ownership is maybe they're just a little too loyal to their coaches, to this Pittsburgh feeling. I feel like they should have probably let Tomlin go a while ago. And I don't know that their current choice is the best choice, but it gives that hometown pride story. I think what's happening is they're trying to recapture that magic. I just don't think they're doing it the right way, but I don't think it makes them a villain at all. No.
CityCast Pittsburgh is sponsored by the Frick Pittsburgh Museums and Gardens. If you want a taste of Paris right here in Pittsburgh, their current exhibition is perfect for you. It's called French Moderns, Matisse, Renoir, Degas. We've got in masterworks from all these very famous French artists and more, like Cézanne and Rodin. You don't need to be a dedicated student of art history to appreciate all these works. Yes, they are legends now, but back in their day, these artists were radicals, and some really put a foundational mark on movements that we still celebrate today. I'm talking about realism, impressionism, cubism, surrealism, so much more. It's easy to forget now, but a lot of the reasons we even know about this stuff and we think about Paris and Parisian culture the way we do is because of these artists and what they created back in their time. I personally am really excited to see this exhibition. Maybe chase it with a stop by their little cafe, a stroll through the gardens. You got to take in this Pittsburgh weather while you can. It's going to be great. French Moderns, Matisse, Renoir, Degas at the Frick is open now. Get your tickets at thefrickpittsburgh.org. Well, one more, Virginia, because this was on your short list of villains to talk about. A Bengals Cincinnati wide receiver. I don't think I can say that. TJ
Houshmandzadeh.
Thank you.
Yes.
Explain the villainy.
Who is TJ and how did he hurt us? There was a Steelers-Bengals game, and he decides to very blatantly, intentionally, in your face, can't even be argued. Oh, I didn't realize I was stepping on it, or I didn't realize I was blowing my nose into it. That we've seen all of that. This was, I'm going to wipe the scum off of my shoes because that's all this towel is good for.
The terrible towel. Our towel. Pittsburgh's identifying towel.
Well, and it is deeper than that. Everyone says, oh, this terrible towel, it's our symbol. But that is basically a charity fundraiser in towel form for children.
Which
right?
most people don't realize because you're buying it off the side of the road. But yes, you are correct. And that was how it was formed.
I'm sure that's what TJ was thinking about when you
in December 2005.
I think that people forget that our attachment to it goes back to the Myron Cope days, but Myron Cope intentionally created it as a symbol of respect and for a way to help people. And so I think players always eventually regret it when they disrespect it. I do believe that. I don't know if it's a curse, but I think they always eventually disrespect it. And I think that's why it doesn't happen as much these days.
It's just foolhardy too, because not like all of that's true, but if you're going to do something like that, at least do it at halftime to rally your team and get them all psyched and show what a bad guy you are and how you're going to come out in the second half and, put the game away. But to do it at the end of the game, I'm just come on, that's bad sportsmanship. Be a good winner.
And I do believe they always regret it. So he was a villain in that moment. I don't know that he was generally a terrible person or anything, but that was a true movie villain behavior.
All right, last one, for real, broadcaster Pat McAfee. He's been a YouTuber for a long time. He does a ton of collabs with things like Mr. Beast and others. He is from Pittsburgh. He name drops Pittsburgh all the time. He talks to celebrities. He has special conversations with our current quarterback, for example, Aaron Rodgers, all the time. I feel like he's in the water here a lot lately. But I'm curious what you think. Is he a villain? Is he low-key virtuous? Is he the celebrity that Pittsburgh deserves? And Virginia, I actually put this one on the list because of a conversation that you and I had, I don't know, a couple months ago at least, where you said, and I quote, "I think more Pittsburghers need to turn on Pat McAfee."
Oh, yeah. To answer the question, no, I don't think he's a good representative of Pittsburgh. I don't feel he's authentic. I don't believe that at all. I think he name drops the city as sort of a brand more than anything. But what he did, spreading that false story about the co-ed apparently having an affair with her boyfriend's dad. You guys know this story? It's the dumbest thing ever because it's not a famous person. She was just a student.
Yeah, Ole Miss. This was last year.
It wasn't true, but Pat essentially gave it legs, and it ruined this girl's life temporarily because it wasn't true. Why is she all of a sudden famous? Why are all these guys talking about her all of a sudden? He basically allowed it to spread. He encouraged the spread into such a point that, number one, it did destroy her and her family for a while. And then two, when he finally apologized for it, he never said I. He said we. We here at the Pat McAfee show are, we never want to be involved in anything bad. That's not an apology. An apology is I made a mistake. So the fact that he could never even come clean and say, I did a very dumb thing. It was me. The buck stops here. He just kind of passed it along to his staff and stuff. So I know Pittsburgh doesn't like to hear it, especially the sports lovers. But I think that we need to kind of step back and be a little bit more cautious with how much we embrace him.
You know what I'm not hearing? Any soccer players. The Riverhounds, the Riveters, y'all are doing great.
Yeah.
It's true.
Keep on it. Yeah.
That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. And since we talked to Jeremy and Virginia, Pat McAfee and our current quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, are in fact in the news. They were at training camp this week, and Aaron Rodgers was asked by Pat about his mindset ahead of what is expected to be Aaron's last NFL season. And the quarterback said, quote, "I'm going to plead the fifth like that absolute coward, Tony Fauci." We have talked on the show about Rodgers' political views. We'll let you decide for yourself. We'll be back tomorrow with more from around the city. We'll talk to you soon. Wait, Virginia, does that mean you were pro or con mullet back in the day?
Listen, I chased him down outside the Civic Arena one day on my way to work with my dad. I was a little 16-year-old walking down past the Civic Arena. I had a temp job in the summer. And he was getting out of his black Trans Am. And I was like, oh my God, Dad, it's Yammer Yager. And he was like, just go ask him for. I go up and ask him for an autograph, and I don't have a paper or a pen. I literally am just like. So my dad came over with a piece of paper, a scrap, and he barely spoke English, and he was so sweet and kind. I lost it, though. I don't know. It's probably lost in my mother's house somewhere, but I've always been obsessed with him. I love the mullet.
You got to find that.